Welcome, my friends, to the Horror Syndicate's Werewolf Weekly Show. It's been about a month or so since I've done one of these. Went on a little bit of a hiatus because of the holidays and personal issues and uh, potentially having donkey brains. So I am back, and tonight I will be ranking all 10 of the werewolf movies released in 2025 that I have seen. Uh, I'm sure there are a few others that I've missed so far, but I'm just going to cover the ones that I have seen. I did start, like a couple months ago, I did start uh, the Yorkie werewolf. I got like 5 minutes into it, and I was like, I can't do this right now. Wasn't in the mood for that, and I just never went back to it. So that's not on the list. But I do have 10 others to rank and go over, and yeah, if welcome to the Werewolf Weekly Show. So if you like this, thumbs up and all that stuff. You know what to do. Um, yeah. So like normal, I'm gonna start with the topic at hand, and then when I am finished with everything, then I will jump over to comments. So if you do leave a comment, just bear with me. I will eventually pull it up and read it and respond. I just like to go through everything first. Uh, yeah, so let's get started. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Coming in at number 10 is a movie called First Moon. Um, I thought the potential was there at the start, but it just turned out to be a pretty weak film. So it starts with this young woman. She just wakes up and she's inside this cage, and basically the whole movie is she's trapped in a cage, and there's a bunch of these people dressed like priests or whatever, and um, they tell her that she's a werewolf and they intend on um, uh, curing her of that. Um, the thing with this movie is it's a bunch of kind of repetition, and then it's like constantly this we're told that this character is a werewolf, and then and it just takes forever. It just kind of meanders, and it's all about her in the cage, and then we do finally get a transformation and some werewolf action, but it is this hideous design that you see on screen. um, yeah, I don't like the design of the werewolf at all. I thought the movie was kind of boring and repetitive. Um, and this and the next one on my list are two films that really annoy me with this whole thing where we're told the character is a werewolf, but they they don't really show it until the end, or if at all. So First Moon is number 10. Um, yeah, I think the beginning seemed interesting to me, but it kind of lost me pretty fast. I think there was some acting that wasn't great either in it. Um, yeah, so that one I did not care for. Coming in at number 9 is Shadow of the Wolf. This was a movie that I was actually looking forward to seeing. I thought the trailer looked pretty decent. Um, I really like this poster here. I think the poster's pretty cool. But it's another movie where we're told the character is a werewolf, and nothing really happens until the end when we do see a werewolf. Um, you don't really see the full werewolf. You just see little bits of its body here and there, very choppy. I believe this was a French film. But the story, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've seen it. There's this guy who was this cop somewhere. He somehow gets accused of murdering his friend, and he's told that he's a werewolf just like his dad or something like that. Um, uh, uh, it's another one where the violence is either off screen or it's choppy, it's hard to see. Uh, just a long, boring story of someone being told that they're a werewolf, um, and with nothing really all that exciting happening in between to keep my interest. I thought it was a boring film overall, and I definitely did not like the fact that um, they didn't even show the werewolf at all, not in its full form, not at all. And that's a game changer for me, buddy. Coming in at number 8, Werewolf Game. Now, this one I will say is with an asterisk because it's technically not a werewolf movie at all. Oh, I mean, yeah, it's just fully not a werewolf movie at all. I believe this is based on some sort of role playing game, but there's a bunch of strangers. They wake up in this room. Uh, they're uh, they're being held prisoner, and they're at these desks, and they're told that they have to. Um, they're told what the game is as far as who's like certain amount of people are villagers, 2 are werewolves. You got to figure out who it is, but if you guess incorrectly or whatever, you get killed. Really bad acting. Um, Cinematography, I think, looked okay at times, but at other times it just looked cheap. It looked like it was kind of repeating the same shots over and over. Tony Todd is in this, and he's the guy behind the mask here, who's kind of the head honcho of the whole thing. And uh, yeah, the explanation that is given at the end with his character was confusing and didn't make a whole lot of sense. Again, Werewolf Game is a film that's not a werewolf film, but it is about werewolves to a certain degree, where it's the idea of werewolves and the lore of werewolves is kind of important to it. But it's basically like almost like a Saw type deal, but not as good. Um, yeah. So some of these I haven't seen in a while. I watched a lot of these at the beginning of last year, so uh, don't really remember much. So with those bottom 3, I don't really remember too much. I don't really remember a whole lot about this one either. But number 7 is Night of the Werewolves. This is an anthology film. Um, so it, some of it was decent at best. So there's an opening, which I think is all CGI. It was okay. There was this one story involving this older lady meeting with this younger man at this bar, where he's trying to get her to sign stuff over regarding her son's death. Um, Basically, the guy's just trying to calm this old lady, but there's a twist with the lady being of the supernatural variety and being well over 200 years old, and her son died a long time ago. So uh, it's one of those kind of neat, the person who's being presented as the victim is actually kind of aware of everything and just and has the upper hand essentially, and she makes him a werewolf. There's another story in here that was trying to be funny, but it just really wasn't. It was just obnoxious, over the top. It was kind of like in the in the same vein or formula of of like a trauma film, and it was just so annoying. I just it was hard to watch. And then there is the final story. I may have skipped a story that may have been unmemorable, but the final story in the film is one that I actually liked quite a bit. I thought it was actually pretty damn funny. It involves like uh, this young woman who's bringing this young man back to her apartment for a trip to Pound Town, and she lives with she has a roommate, and she's like, we have to keep his door locked and chained at all times, and the bumbling new boyfriend, uh, I forget the exact details of how, but he somehow undoes the lock, and the roommate who's a werewolf gets out, and then it's the couple trying to like figure out a way to lure the werewolf back to the room. It's all done, with humor, and I actually thought it was pretty damn funny, all the way up to the end. Um, just the reactions of the characters. I thought uh, the last story was pretty damn decent. Otherwise, this would probably be um, it'll probably if not for that last story, even the one early on with the older woman in the bar. Those were two that I liked enough to where I have it at number seven. Whereas if it didn't have those, it would probably be number 10 on this list. Um, yeah. Number six is Night Carnage, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Um, I don't really remember jack shit of this movie. I don't remember what the story's about, uh, but I do have I did have a note uh, uh, written down where I mentioned how it's kind of a meh movie, but there is some decent werewolf action in it. There's some decent werewolves, I believe. I wish I could remember this one, but all I know is from my notes. Uh, when I watched this, I said it was a meh movie with um, with decent werewolf action at best. So I can't really say too much about Night Carnage, unfortunately. I believe it is still only to rent. I don't believe it's free, uh, but I wouldn't recommend renting it. Uh, if it comes to like Tubi or something and you're interested, give it a shot. I believe it deals with more supernatural things than just werewolves, but the werewolf presence is big in it, and and at the time that I watched it, I thought it was pretty cool, or decent at least. I'll just say decent. But now I'm gonna get into ones that I do remember the most. Uh, Coming at number five is Dogman 3 Fight to the Finish. Obviously, this is the third chapter in this trilogy. Um, I kind of hope they don't make any more. This was my least favorite of the three films. I actually liked the first two quite a bit. They definitely show their budget, but it's the characters that I'm drawn to, right? So in the first film, you have this man who's on the poster here, and his wife, and he's just uh, they're just kind of like a nice little quirky couple. Um, he's into hunting and all that, and someone keeps stealing their four wheeler and uh, some of their equipment and stuff like that. But in the meantime, their nephew's friend is attacked in the woods. He gets wounded by a werewolf, and he becomes very sick. And what I liked about the first one in particular is I don't know if maybe it was the score or just the characters between the husband and wife, the main characters, but I almost had like a little Tremors vibe. And I just really liked the characters, but the actress that played the wife, she died in between two and three, so naturally they had to write her out of this one instead of recast her. And I just don't like the way that they wrote her out. And I feel like her presence is missed because I think what makes Dogman 1 and 2 really work for me is the characters and their interactions with each other. There's a couple other supporting characters who are constant throughout all three, but yeah, Dogman 3, um, I was looking forward to seeing it after watching 1 and 2. Um, because I thought 2 was actually an improvement over part 1 in a lot of ways. But yeah, this one, I didn't hate it, obviously, but it is my least favorite of this trilogy. Uh, Coming to number 4 is a movie called Frenzy Moon. So, Frenzy Moon is I thought it was okay, right? It's a film that absolutely shows his budget. There's like this group of friends who are going to this one chick's family cabin, but the way it's set up inside and everything, you could tell like this was like a shop of some sort that they just kind of got to take over and use as a set. I feel like the movie is very predictable. Um, but so basically, this one chick, she takes her friends to her family cabin. Uh, Meanwhile, uh, there's werewolves all around the area. They're killing people left and right. There's this one guy who he's like kind of dressed in like hunting gear and like camouflage, and he's basically trying to hunt the beast, and he accidentally gets hit by the car of uh, two of the characters who are coming to the cabin, and so they take him back, and of course the werewolves surround the place, and this guy, um, pretty cool character. I forget the actor's name, but I've seen him in other stuff before, and I thought he was pretty cool in here as this werewolf hunter guy, trying to explain the rules to these kids and stuff. The big problem in this movie is, it is extremely predictable. Like I knew what the twist at the end was going to be. The Pretty much the whole movie. I feel like an actor kind of gave it away a little too much with his or her. I won't say who it is with their actions. So predictable movie. It definitely shows its low budget nature. It's clear. Um, I think the werewolves looked okay in some scenes, but in other scenes they looked absolutely horrendous. It's just weird how there's a couple moments I'm like, oh, that doesn't look too bad, but then there's other moments where I'm like, oh, ooh, yeah, that looks terrible. But it is a low budget film, so you got to kind of prepare yourself for that. I've seen a lot worse. Um, so yeah, Frenzy Moon. I thought it was okay at best, but it is very predictable, um, and it's not worth renting. I don't think it's another one. Wait for Tubi, because I don't want you taking my word on this shit. Coming in at number 3 is a movie called Mark of the Werewolf. And this one was one where I kind of struggled to figure out where to place it. Because there's parts of it that I really, really enjoy. And then there's other parts where I'm like, this is weird. It's kind of got this style to it with, the with the overall look and feel, with the you know the font of the credits, and of sort of like grindhouse type stuff, and it's got just there's stuff that I think is meant to be humorous, which just doesn't land. There's a couple characters like in the beginning that are just so over the top. They appear later in the film. Luckily, they're not throughout the entire thing. They're part of this satanic cult, I suppose, of sorts. And basically, this guy wants this one property, but it keeps getting rented out to people. So he sends this one young chick who's a witch to this place to curse them. She goes there and she basically uses her witchcraft to summon a werewolf from this site. It comes out of a tree. It is that part isn't as bad as it sounds, right? It basically is coming from a portal of sorts. Um, and meanwhile, you got this group of friends staying at this place, and they get attacked one by one. Um, I feel like the beginning of the film was really off-putting with its tone, but then it started getting a little bit better. And I will say this: I do really like the look of the werewolf in this, and the werewolf is savage as hell. This is, I think, the werewolf action is really good. The werewolf look and design is really good. I don't think everyone's gonna be a fan of the way it ends. I don't. I can't really say too much about the ending because even if I allude to another movie, uh, you guys should pick up what the twist would be. So the ending, I don't think everyone's gonna be on board for, but I do have to say that the werewolf, the design looked really good. It looked very demonic and menacing, and its actions are what I want from werewolves in film, where it's completely savage, unpredictable, relentless. That's the type of werewolf you get in here. Again, the tone, especially in the beginning, may be off-putting. Some of the characters may be very off-putting in the beginning. And it's not really even a good movie, but it's just one that's just like there's certain things in it that I like here and there. But yeah, Mark of the Werewolf is at number 3. Again, I wouldn't recommend renting it to anyone. It's another one. If you're interested at all, wait for Tubi. I mean, some of these things might be on there now because I did watch some of these like a while back. Coming in at number 2 is Wolfman. This is a movie I'm very indifferent on. And I put it at number 2 because it is a well made film. Direction, cinematography, very good. I think it's creative. I love the way that we see from the werewolf perspective at moments and what the werewolf sees. And I really like the idea that it can't understand uh, what a human is saying. Um, but it's a movie. I walked out of the theater. I didn't overly love it. I didn't hate it. I did like I think a mostly positive review for it on the horrorsyndicate.com. Um, but I'm very indifferent to it. And I think it has a lot to do with it being titled Wolfman, because and it being from Universal. Like I know it sounds kind of like petty and stupid to kind of hold this against the movie, but there is this association that I have with Universal and Wolfman. And while there was, I think, one thing that it had that the others had, which involved this aspect of estranged father and son. Uh, but it's not done like the other two. Um, and the story, there's there's elements to it that I like, but I'm just not. There's something about the family drama that I don't give a shit about. Um, it kind of makes it seem like if you yell at your kids, you're a bad parent. But I'm the father of two children, and let me tell you, sometimes you need to yell, or at least raise your voice. Um, and I don't like the look of the werewolf. Um, I feel like if this movie was called Mark or not Mark, Jesus Christ, if this movie was called Face of the Wolf, uh, I probably would have enjoyed it a little bit better. I still would have same complaint as far as the look of the Wolfman. The and I think that's creative, but I don't understand this need for Lee Wanell to find an ultra realistic way to tell the monster stories. Just embrace the supernatural. Um, Again, the whole mythology that it sets up about this animal-based virus is unique, um, but and I don't know. It just led to a poor werewolf design. Um, I don't know. I did like the aspect of there being a werewolf inside the house, or well, there's someone inside the house who's like slowly transforming into a werewolf, and then outside the house you have this werewolf that's roaming around and kind of keeping you trapped inside. I never pulled up the poster, did I? And then I also kind of liked the relationship between the father and daughter. Um, I'm a father of two daughters myself, so that type of stuff kind of always, you know, uh, uh, gets my attention, and I thought they did a good job building that, and it did make uh, the whole thing feel tragic. I think by the end, you know, when the reality of the situation really kind of hits in the end, when um, the daughter is talking to the mother about wanting her dad back, and based on everything established in this film, there is no coming back. So it does retain the tragedy element of Wolfman, and it does have the aspect of the father and the son. Um, but I don't know. There's something about this movie that I felt like it just didn't do enough for me. Um, I've watched it twice, once in the theater, once again on Blu-ray. I'll probably watch it again. I think it is a watchable movie, and that's why I put it at number two. Um, but yeah, it's not. I don't know. I'm just so indifferent to it. Again, I wrote a mostly positive review for the website, but yeah, one of these days I'll figure out exactly what it is that I kind of get hung up on with it. But anyway, number one, really the only film on this list that I actually really like is called Elma and the Wolf. Um, this is about a sheriff played by Ethan Embry. Uh, he plays uh, he's Ren. He's an alcoholic. He's a mess. Um, but he loves his son very much, and his son is playing baseball, which is what Ren used to do, and it was Ren's dream to become a baseball player before an injury kind of prevented him from going pro. So he's projecting a lot of his wishes and goals onto his son. But anyway, so Ren is on his way to his son's baseball game when he comes across this woman that he used to go to school with back in the day named Elma. And she's dirty, she's holding something in her arms, and she says, um, a, a werewolf killed her dog. And she asks Ren to go kill it. Um, Later that night, he gets drunk and he goes out and he's looking for the wolf, and he shoots at it, and then this werewolf appears, and uh, he gets spooked. He goes away, and hold on, what?
The cat scratched me in the face, and I'm bleeding.
Okay, we'll clean it up with paper towel. You're not bleeding a lot though, right? Oh, I'm sorry that happened. Shit, where was I? Yeah, so the werewolf talks to him and kind of taunts him. He gets spooked and he goes away. But eventually, Ren's son is. You see the werewolf come at him, and the son goes missing, and then Ren becomes very desperate to try to find his son. And there's a lot that happens throughout. It's a movie full of twists and turns, so I can't really say too much. I can't even say what other films this reminds me of, in a positive way, because it'll give it away. But and one other thing I'll say, and this is something that I had a hard time selling a couple of the guys on the other night, was my stance on this, where this is not a werewolf movie, but there's a werewolf that appears throughout it. There's a couple other creature like people too that appear, but it's not about the werewolf itself per se, and it's just hard to explain that without getting into spoilers. I think I can explain it better if I went into spoilers about it. Um, and I think the werewolf looks awesome in it. The werewolf design in this is uh, very strong. I liked it a lot. You don't get a lot of werewolf action because it's mostly this taunting type figure. But yeah, the wolf looked awesome. I think it's got good acting, especially from Ethan Embry. I think it's got a very strong and uh, engaging story, and it's definitely a tragic movie by the end. Um, but I really enjoyed this one. I think this is really the only one on this list that I can say I really enjoyed. Uh, you know, two is a movie. My second is of course Wolfman. I'm indifferent to that. My 3 and 4 picks I thought were decent, although definitely flawed. My number 5, it was okay, but it wasn't as good as the ones before it. And after that, just films that I just did not care for. So yeah, those are that's my ranking of the 10 werewolf films that were released in 2025 that I have seen. Um, I can just go over them one more time before I jump in the comments. Number 10, First Moon. Number 9, Shadow of the Wolf. Number 8, Werewolf Game. Technically not a werewolf movie. Uh, Number 7, Night of the Werewolves. Number 6, Night Carnage, which I don't remember anything, but I wrote down that the werewolf action was decent. Number 5, Dogman 3, Fight to the Finish, my least favorite of the trilogy. Uh, I would have rather it just didn't get made and just leave it at 1 and 2. But if they do make a Dogman 4, I will watch it. Number 4, Frenzy Moon. Number 3, Mark of the Werewolf. Number 2, Wolfman. Number 1, Alma the Wolf. So there you have it, my friends. Uh, yeah, those are my. That is my having connection issues. Let me know. So anyway, now I'll get to the comments. Read what anyone wrote. There's not a lot. There's a couple. Rain says, glad things seem to be rolling again on YouTube. I picked up some good plan to watches from the 25 horror films of 2025 the other night. I'm sure I'm going to do the same with this list tonight. Uh, there's not a lot on this list I can recommend, but one of the things I forgot to mention at the top of this episode tonight was 2025 was not a good year for werewolf films. 2024, the 2020s haven't really been great in general for werewolf films, but at least 2024, I had 3 that I quite liked a lot, with Blackout, um, Operation Blood Hunt, and Werewolves, the film with Frank Grillo. And then there was a couple others that were, the okay, decent for what it is type of thing. But 2025, at least from the ones that I have seen, I'm sure I have missed some. Um, but from the ones that I've seen, uh, 2025 has not been a good year for werewolf films. Here's hoping 2026 is a much better year. I know we are going to be getting Robert Eggers' Werewolf. Um, I feel like there was something else I saw a trailer for that's coming out this year that looked pretty good. So, on this list, I would really only recommend Elma and the Wolf. Um, I think that's a good one with it's kind of a gut punching one, um, but it's got good performances and a great looking werewolf. Uh, if you want to check out like the low budget ones, like uh, Mark of the Werewolf or Frenzy Moon, uh, you know, just be prepared for them being films that are what they are. Um, yeah, gotta get back to my comments here. Well, I guess there's more comments than I thought. uh, all right, my friend Sean Sheridan, Werewolf. Well, the only new movie I saw was Wolfman, so default number 1. Yeah, I know you really like that one. I did give it a rewatch earlier in the month. I got it for Christmas on Blu-ray, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a second shot. So I did. Um, Hello, Seth. How are you, my friend? Good. How are you? It's been a while. I got lots and lots of werewolf and horror movie start to talk to you about, especially Scream 7. Okie dokie. Rain says, Seth, I love the content and I'm glad you guys are back rolling on YouTube. But I haven't forgotten that you never covered Ginger Snaps 2 as was planned. I know, that's true. I'm going to, starting next week, I'm going to be getting into uh, my normal my, my normal format for the show. And I will be doing Ginger Snaps 2 next week, and then 3 after that. And then after that, I do have a schedule written out that I do got to publish on the horrorsyndicate.com. Uh, um, actually, I think I'll have time to do that this weekend, actually. So, yeah. Um, but yes, I will cover that. That will be coming next week. Uh, Thanks for reminding me. I was watching the werewolf movie Howl and Curse from 2005. It's strange how the Curse werewolf they got the design from I guess. I mean, Rick Baker worked on it initially before he was, I believe, he was fired and replaced with the CGI. But yeah, Rick Baker, who did American Wolf in London, was originally attached to Cursed. It's so interesting how 100% the werewolf looks like the Wolf of London. And what do you think the wolf is similar? I have no idea. Um, I, I feel like it looks similar, but it's not, the exact same thing. So, and with it being Rick Baker, he just it's it's got his touch to it, but at the same time, the werewolf movie Howl Strange is so weird for a werewolf movie. They don't know. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because um, I kind of feel the same way because I actually love Howl. I think Howl is a fantastic movie. I love the setting. I love a lot of stuff that happens in it, but it's the werewolves themselves, the way that they look. I wasn't a big fan of that aspect of it, but I mean, I definitely totally get what you are saying there. Uh, Jordan says I didn't see any new werewolf movies last year. Not into the steelbook reissues from Scream Factory, but I'd cave if they do Howling 2 and 3 in that packaging. I know, right? You're talking about like similar to the German releases. I don't know if I've because I know it's been a while since I've done this show. I don't think if I told you or not, but yeah, I finally got Howling 6, The Freaks. I got the uh, German uh, that German set, so it's pretty damn cool. The Scream 7 looks like there's. I mean, yeah, I have no idea. We'll find out next month when it comes out. But you know, I just got a feeling that they're just gonna give fans like you blue balls. Uh, and I hate to see it, buddy. Let's see. Oh, more about Scream 7. uh, well, yeah, I mean, the ghost face, I mean, clearly from the trailer, uh, it looked like Ghostface set the fire. But who knows? Maybe that footage could have been just alternative footage used to throw us off. Wolfman had 2, and it's not even a movie that you like that much. That's shocking to say that the quality of the rest of your picks, my opinion. I'm on an island, it has issues, but I really liked it. Well, yeah, and I know you really liked it, and again, I do think it is a well-made film. Um, I can't knock it for uh, being well put together and pretty creative. But yeah, it's just a film I'm just still indifferent to. One of these days, Sean, I'll be a mega fan. You need to put that list for 2026 movies. My therapist needs money after my break from watching werewolf movies. What's not to love is Les Grossman in the woods. That's right. Still, I mean, even when I rewatched it earlier in the month, I was like, "Yep, that's Les Grossman." Uh, has werewolf movies ever had a great year? Be honest. 1981. Um, Because I mean, at least you got uh, American Werewolf in London, um, The Howling, uh, Wolfen. Even though yeah, it's not really technically a werewolf movie. They're the Wolfen, they're spirit animals, blah blah blah. It still gets something there. And then I think 2014 was another good year. I believe Howl came out that year. If not, it was 2015. But Late Phases, my fifth favorite werewolf film of all time, that was 2014. Wolves with Jason Momoa. Kind of a corny movie, but I like it. I think Wolf Cop came out that same year. I think that movie's fucking hilarious. Um, there's something else. I'm forgetting something. What am I forgetting? God damn it. I don't remember. But I felt like there was something else. Yeah, so like 2014, 2015, pretty decent. Um, but yeah, there's unfortunately there's not really a whole lot of great werewolf films out there, sadly. But there are some sprinkled throughout. I just think so far, at least of the 2020s, 2025, feels to me like it's the worst year. So um, I don't know why I keep losing the comments. Okay, back to Skywalker. Will the werewolf movies curse? Why do you think they use the design of the werewolf in the movie? I don't think it's an exact replica. I think there's just similarities um, with the face, and I think that's because Rick Baker, again, same guy that did American Werewolf in London, uh, initially came up with the designs for Cursed. But yeah, and I don't know what would require permission as far as stuff like that goes. But look into it. Maybe you can find some evidence. Werewolf will be the best werewolf movie since London, I predict. I have complete faith in Robert Eggers. I'm really looking forward to it. Definitely looking forward to that. The schedule is going up. How fun I can watch werewolf movies and cry in pain after again. I joke, although that one with the werewolf bikers nearly made me cry. It was that bad. Oh, you're talking about Werewolves on Wheels? I know. That's like one of those films that I had on the schedule that you watched that I never actually covered. So that's going to get covered this year. I got quite a few titles that I kind of skipped over. Do you see any similarities with the movie Howl and American Werewolf in London? No, no, not at all. Um, Howl is, you know, pretty unique on in its own way as a werewolf and as a werewolf film. Um, but there's certainly no similarities with the werewolves and designs. The setting, characters, like there's nothing I see in that movie that reminds me of American Werewolf in London. Sean Denson, how you doing, my friend? Hope all is well. 2025 was a great year for horror, but not for werewolf films. Absolutely. Uh, it was just a terrible year for werewolf films. But I got a feeling 2026 is gonna set things right. If you're curious, I redone my Helen ranking. As bad as some of those get, I found it fun to take the piss out of the franchise. Huh, nice. I will definitely be on the look for that. Why are your reaction be when you go see Scream 7, you see the reveal and it turns out to be Stu? Um, oh, are you asking what my reaction would be if that happens? It really depends on like how it's done. Because I feel like they would need to really pull off something awesome. And so, if that is the case, hopefully they do pull off something awesome. But I'm just very concerned with the fact that they announced all these returning cast members whose characters have died, that it's going to lean towards AI deep fakes and uh, not really the characters themselves. So this is why I'm saying I feel like there is potential that Stu fans like yourselves are not going to be happy walking away from the movie, um, because you're going to get blue balls. Wolfen was pretty decent. Yeah, I like Wolfen. I think of the three from that year, Wolfen is obviously my number three, but whatever. Thank you, Seth. I wasn't trying to be a smart ass. I really love Ginger Snaps 2 even more than the first one. Movie is underrated and deserves to be covered here. I'm excited. Oh yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, I took a longer hiatus than normal. But yeah, Ginger Snaps 2 next week. I really enjoyed that one too. Maya says, "Do you like Cursed or American Wolf in Paris more?" Ooh, wow, that's a good question. Um, I'm gonna. This may anger people, but I'm gonna go with Paris. American Wolf in Paris is very flawed. It's inferior to American Wolf in London, but I have fun with it. It's a film that obviously took the wrong lessons from American Wolf in London, where American Wolf in London did a really good job of like separating the horror and the comedy, where um, the horror can be horrific and the comedy comes from the characters and their interactions and their reactions. Whereas American Wolf in Paris is very slapstick. There's something charming about it though. It's got terrible CGI, but I have a soft spot for American Wolf in Paris. I do really like Cursed as well. Um, but the thing with Cursed, by the way, the score for Cursed is just awesome. Um, but uh, the thing with Cursed is, especially after reading the original script for it, uh, I kind of wished that they made the the film that they set out to make, as opposed to the film that we end up getting due to studio meddling. Um, if you don't know anything about it, I did write an article on the horrorsyndicate.com. I think it's called A Different Beast, the original script for Cursed. Um, Check it out. I broke down the entire script in detail, but I think it was a better version of the story. So yeah, but that's a very good question. And if you're still watching, there's a good chance you're probably not. But if you're still watching, which do you prefer of those two? I'm very curious. Now I have an excuse to watch Ginger Snaps 2 for the millionth time. Yeah, I love Ginger Snaps 2, so I'm actually looking forward to rewatching that one as well. I read an article about the movie how somebody thinks that these werewolves look like Bigfoots. I can see that. Matthew Lillard has signed on for 3 Scream movies. Okay. Did you need a Laurie actress that played Billy Loomis' mother? She voiced Andy's mom from Toy Story 4 films. Yeah, I love Scream 2. Scream 2 is my favorite Scream film. Highly underrated film. It gets too much shit from people. Did you know that when they actually had a stunt woman playing Mrs. Loomis in Scream 2. Her name was Leslie Hoffman. She was the stunt woman that played. Cool. Seth, could you do me a big favor? Could you do some research for me and find out if there's any evidence to find out if the werewolf from the movie Curse looks like? I'll see. Yeah. I will see what I can find out, my friend. If I remember, I got a bad memory. I'm an old man. I'm in my 40s. Gonna give myself a jitterbug phone, a hover around, and I'm gonna yell for kids to get off my goddamn lawn. And they'll probably just end up being my kids. Let's see. Cool. Caught up with all the comments. So I shall go back over everything again before I bounce for the night because I am an hour deep into this. Oh, by the way, new logo for the show. How about that? I'm trying to convince Ray to get it put on shirts and hoodies and stuff. Because if that happens, I'm buying a shit ton. But yeah, there's the new logo that Ray developed for me, which is very awesome. But going through the topic one last time, my number 10 was First Moon. Kind of a boring, repetitive film with a character who's constantly being told that she's a werewolf. Most of the film is her in a cage and talking to some priest, and werewolf stuff does happen towards the end, but it's this awful design here that honestly, looking at this poster, I would have thought it was a vampire film because it kind of gives me vibes of certain vampire films. Number 9 is Shadow of the Wolf. No film where we're told the character is a werewolf throughout the entire film, and it just really leads to a bunch of nothing. You don't ever get a good look at the werewolf at all. Just little glimpses of its arms and whatever here and there. Pretty boring movie overall. Yeah, didn't really care for it. Number 7. Wait, no. Number 8. I can't count now. Number 8 is Werewolf Game. Again, it's not a werewolf film, but it is a film that is very much embracing the idea of werewolves, and making it important to this plot. Does it have a plot? It's not very good. Tony Todd's in it. Really terrible acting from everyone else. It was a hard watch. Now I'm at number 7, I think. Was it this? Yeah, I think it was this. Number 7, Night of the Werewolves. Anthology film. There was one really awful story that grated on my nerves. There was one story that I thought was fairly decent, pretty good. And then there's another story, the final story in this anthology, that I thought was actually pretty damn funny. So, yeah. This film, I wish I could even tell you what it was about. Again, no clue. I watched it a long time ago. It's completely forgettable. But I do, I do have a note written down saying it's a meh film with decent werewolf action. So take that for what you will. Number 5 is Dogman 3, Fight to the Finish. Yeah, My least favorite of the trilogy would have preferred if they just left it at 1 and 2, especially considering that uh, uh, an actress who plays a major character in these films passed away a couple years after doing part 2, and it just doesn't feel the same without her. And I feel like part 2 kind of wrapped things up where there didn't really need to be a third film. Um, of course, if they do make a Dogman 4, I am going to watch it, and I'm going to be excited to watch it. But yeah, my least favorite of the trilogy. Number 4, Frenzy Moon. Very predictable movie that shows its budget. A movie where uh, the werewolves either look decent in certain shots or they look absolutely terrible in most. Um, but again, a, a I can't even think of the word. It's a product of its budget, really. So if you can set the obvious budget stuff aside, um, it's an okay film. It's not terrible, like at least from my standards. And if you're new here, you have to understand that because I've seen so many shitty werewolf films, my um, my taste has been compromised, and to the point where I can say a shit film is, hey, it's okay. So that's what this is. It's okay, at least by my standards. Um, Number 3, Mark of the Werewolf. Uh, Very off-putting in the beginning with certain characters, with the certain uh, tone and style of the film. Uh, I think it gets a little bit better in the middle. The werewolf looks really good in this, very demonic and menacing. The werewolf action is brutal and savage, and just the way I like my werewolves to be. So I give it credit for that. It's another movie product of its budget. There's some acting that's just not cool. uh, and I think the werewolf aspect of it for me is the only reason why it's this high on this list, because uh, it is not. It's really not a great film. But again, I got shit taste because I've subjected myself to a lot of terrible films. Number 2 is Wolfman, a movie I'm indifferent to. Um, this movie I think is watchable. I think it's well made. I think it's creative, but I don't feel like it should have been called Wolfman. Um, I think it should have been its own standalone film. Uh, but yeah, I gotta really examine why this movie. Uh, I struggle with it as much as I do. The werewolf design is not good. I'll say that. And my number 1, the only film on this list that I actually really enjoy, Omen the Wolf. Uh, Good little tragic story. It's got a werewolf throughout, but don't expect a lot of werewolf action. The werewolf looks great. I think the werewolf design and the way they pulled it off it just looked really cool. Ethan Embry gives a very good performance, uh, and it's a deeper movie than you may than you may realize from like watching a trailer or anything like that. So those are the 10 that I have seen for of 2025. Here's hoping 2026 is going to be better. Uh, Final comments before I leave. I remember I asked you last year about the. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I like Harry and Henderson. but I don't know how I'd feel about doing uh, Bigfoot or Sasquatch movies for a werewolf show when I got so many werewolf films to cover, my friend. Have a great night, Seth. See you next week. I will. Same to you. Appreciate you dropping by and hanging out. Seth, Sethy Wethy, Awoo, Werewolves of London. It should have been called Hyena Man. Yep. Ethan Embry. Embry. Yes. Ethan Embry. He's in Elma and the Wolf. He's the main character. And he gives actually a really good performance in it. Oh, sorry, he was a good actor. Uh, and he's going to be in Scream 7. So that's cool. Yeah, so if no one else has anything to say, I'm taking it that not a lot of people have seen most of these films on this list. You should probably keep it that way, to be honest with you. Some of them just wait for Tubi. If you're looking for some that are low budget but fun, Dogman 1 and 2 from, was it 2000? God damn it. I don't remember when 1 and 2 came out, but they're on Tubi. I thought they were fun watches. Seth, where's the other dude? You mean Ray? He doesn't do Werewolf Weekly, and I'm sure he misses you. I saw Wolfman, but that's it. Yeah, that was like the big one. That was. I mean, werewolf films don't really get released theatrically very much. Um, to be or not to be, that is the question. All I can think of is Schwarzenegger in Last Action Hero. To be or not to be, not to be, and then he fucking lets the explosion. Yeah, so thank you to everyone who showed up and commented. Hope everyone has a good night. I will be back next week, and I will finally finish off my coverage of the Ginger Snaps films with Ginger Snaps 2. I covered the first one like a month ago, and yeah, so I will get back to that. I will be working on my 2026 Werewolf Weekly schedule this weekend. Hopefully, it should be published to thehorrorsyndicate.com this weekend. And if not, then it's going to be because I'm a slacker. But yeah, I hope everyone has a good night. Beware the moon.